Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to Picks and Pours, episode 30. If you can believe we made it through 30 of these already. Today's Thursday, June 20th, and we're coming off a few weeks hiatus, and that was because of me. I had stuff going on. I had family in town. My sister and her family were here visiting, so we were occupied with 3 sick children, and I may be dealing with the remnants of that, so bear with me today, folks, as I try and get through this with some lozenges and some water will be my pour. I hope everybody had a great Father's Day. All those for those fathers out there who are doing the right thing, that is. I always like to make that distinction. I hope you all enjoyed your day. Hope everybody showed the dads some love last Sunday. Before we get into the UFC and all the dropouts and the replacements and all the news and all the hot takes, let me introduce from all the way across town, Matt the Mechanic. What's going on, Matt?
Not much, Bill. I'd say you're definitely dealing with some remnants, but I'm just over here trying to figure out how to access the dark web. Do you know anything about that?
No. In fact, if I needed to know something about it, you would probably be the first person I'd ask. So I'm kind of surprised you don't know about it.
Well, I don't know. There's a news story that broke that's affecting my car dealership I work at. There's been a massive hack of this company called CDK, and they're holding them hostage. And that is what runs our entire dealership, from the guys selling the cars to us working on the cars, all the way to our paychecks that are supposed to hit the bank tomorrow. So I was not trying to get on there and figure out what the fuck they're doing, but
So does
I'll
that
leave
mean
it
they
to
have
the
access
FBI.
to your bank information?
It's up in the air, but I'm sure there's much more. There's other bank people in there that have much better bank information that they would want to. So I'm not too worried about it. We'll get paid.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll
It's more about the bigger pain in the ass is actually working because you can't do anything.
Oh, so like your system is down?
Yeah, like we can't do anything. And this is for like 15,000 dealerships across the country. So
Wow. Is this in the news?
yeah, it's one of those stories. It's in the news if you Google it, but it's not on the top. It just started around 4 p.m. yesterday, so it's still, you know, until lunch today. They kind of just saying, "Hey, we're having problems," and then they're like, "Oh, we got hacked."
Oh, so they kind of like sent out a company-wide memo?
No, I saw it in the news.
Oh, so they didn't even let you know what was going on at work?
I mean, tomato. The system doesn't work, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know if anybody else is working there gets on the dark web and fixes it. I doubt it, but I don't know what that knowledge would help the guys at work other than freak them out a little bit.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want is panic within the workplace. It's possible some people don't even know still.
Oh yeah, most people. I don't think most people have tied it to the paycheck yet. So if you work with me and you're not getting paid tomorrow, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of panic tomorrow. But luckily, I have the day off. I'm taking the nephew to some water park. We haven't decided which one yet, but it's much better than standing around at work.
Yeah, for sure. Mark Fellows is here. He says, I sound worse than Aliskerov is going to look on Sunday. Man, am I really sounding that bad? I feel like a little extra vibrato in my throat. I lost my voice almost completely yesterday, but it's coming back today.
You just seem to sound a little more. I don't know what's the word. A little more vocal fry.
Okay. Just like Laura Sanko talked about how she smoked a pack of cigarettes before she did.
Yeah, would you huff down a Cuban?
Yeah, I wish I did that. In any case, I'll get through this episode with the vibrato I got going on. Hopefully, it's not permanent or anything. I think it should
it'll be
clear up
just
in a
fine.
couple days. But yeah. So okay, there's a lot going on. So Khamzat Chimaev had to pull out of this fight card against Robert Whittaker, UFC on ABC 6 from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This is UFC's first time in Saudi Arabia, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is a big deal. I'm sure they're not happy with him. He was kind of radio silent for a little while, and then he said it was life-threatening, something or other, and he might have to retire. And we've kind of heard this from him before. And then he comes out and says, "Oh, it was just food poisoning."
Yeah,
What's your take on all
I
that?
had some problems with this one. The first one was it's like food poisoning. I can't remember ever having food poisoning. I imagine it can be terrible, but I thought that was like a 48 to 72 hour thing. And I don't remember. This was like mid last week, right? But the more interesting thing I saw was the picture of him in the hospital. Did you see that picture?
No,
There's a picture they posted of him in the hospital, and it's clearly a child's hospital.
really?
Yeah,
How do you know?
look it up.
Okay. Is he taking a selfie?
No, he's like laying in the bed, and someone else took the picture. It was just very odd that it was. I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe it was the only room available in the normal hospital. I don't know how it worked. It just seemed kind of funny, and so I don't know. It sucks he's not fighting. Like,
There's a picture that circulates amongst the amateur fight promoters, and it's there's a picture of this guy, and he's laying in what looks like a hospital bed, and he's got like earbuds going in his nose to
oh
look
yeah, I
like
saw that.
a respirator, and it says fighters will come up with any excuse to pull out of a fight.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it. I can.
All right, let's do this. I want to lead with my hot take because
All right.
it's so pertinent to what we're talking about. So, hot take or take a shot segment. Usually it's Matt presenting me with a hot take. And if I can't change his mind, I have to take a shot. But this week I have one. And this is going to be up your alley because it's a bit of a conspiracy theory. I got a little bit tinfoil hat going into this hot take here. Because we've seen so many big fights pull out. Fighters pull out of big fights. We had Conor pulling out of his fight with Michael Chandler. Now we have Chimaev pulling out of the main event against Robert Whittaker. What was the other one we just had recently?
Jamal Hill.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one? The other guy. I can't remember. There's been several.
Yeah.
Does this have something to do with the Sphere?
No, here's my theory. The new drug testing company that the UFC is working with, Drug Free Sport International, I believe there's been some positive tests and guys have been ineligible to fight, and they've had to make up stories to make it seem like they're sick or injured or in rehab or whatever else, make up a bunch of fake headlines to avoid it because guys are getting popped by these new tests and they're ineligible to fight and they need to make stuff up. Like, nothing about the Chimaev story adds up. Like food poisoning. Yeah, I've had food poisoning pretty bad. I've had it last like 2 days. Do I think it would make me pull out of a fight that was a week away? No. I'll probably wait to see, how I bounced back, how I recovered. I know it's probably hard to rehydrate from food poisoning while you're cutting weight, but I mean, this fight was at 185 pounds. Then the Conor McGregor thing is pretty suspect. Conor McGregor, who his whole career has called all the shots, and now all of a sudden he's consulting his doctors and he's consulting his team and whatever other bullshit was in the press release statement that he put out. I think guys are testing positive for PEDs that they weren't getting caught for before, and now they need to make up stories of why they can't compete.
My only argument against that is that the UFC or the USADA released, positive test results. There must be something different with this new one if your theory is correct.
But if you remember, towards the end of USADA, they were not releasing because the UFC made some agreement with them where it was up to the fighter whether or not they wanted to disclose. And some of the fighters chose to disclose if they had a positive test, and they would say, oh, this was because of a tainted, I tested positive, but it was because of a tainted supplement or whatever it was. Like what happened with Sean O'Malley. And then they say, I'm going to contest it or whatever they're going to do. So I don't know what the agreement, nobody really seems to know too much about what's going on with this new drug testing company. Like we haven't heard, we used to hear talk about USADA in the MMA news all the time. We don't hear anything about this new drug testing company. So maybe everything is kept super discreet, and it's up
Other
to
than
the
John
athlete.
Jones threatened to beat one of their asses.
Oh yeah, there was that.
That's the only news. Yeah, it looks like I'm taking a shot, and I actually have I was going to save this for the fight talk, but there's actually a little commonality here. One of the guys that was supposed to fight the Shira Bullet, Jailton Luderbach, he tested positive. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see his tweet?
Mm-mm.
So his tweet says, "Thank you for all the messages of affection during this difficult time. I actually used juice 3 months ago, and I had no idea that I would sign with the UFC." And then he says, "I could have hidden in the mountains or gone to Thailand and hide as many do and are not tested, but I prefer to take the risk and believe I was clean and fit to fight."
I like that.
Yeah, that's the best way to handle it. Yeah, I was doing steroids. I wasn't in the UFC.
Yeah, I was trying to get to the UFC, and then I was gonna stop cheating.
Yeah, I don't
Swear.
know. Maybe the UFC should do like a baseline, like a drug test when you get it. They signed because he did it 3 months ago.
Scout's honor.
Yeah, that's like you used to do back in high school when you have to take a drug test. Just like I hope to God. Yeah, something's going on. Chimaev I would imagine Chimaev was a requirement for this pay-per-view, or not pay-per-view card. That's probably the biggest fallout off this card.
And this
Man,
isn't the first time he's done this. He's pulled out of some other fight, and he was talking about like, oh, I need to retire.
well, that was back in 2020 when he had long COVID. He had COVID pretty bad,
Oh,
and that
right.
has been some problems for our other fighters. Even though they went and got stem cells done for their lungs for COVID, so
Mm.
he actually his manager came out and said it was not food poisoning too. So, but that's also the guy that said it the first time. It's weird. It's all weird. I think you're right. I got some kinky grape here.
It's like food poisoning is the go-to when you have to call out sick for work, right?
My go-to is that I shit my pants, but yeah, people use that a lot.
Yeah, same tomato.
Shit my pants is just like the trump card. I've
Yeah.
shit my pants. I gotta go.
Yeah, man, that's it. Like it's something nobody can question. Like there's no follow-up questions.
Yeah, they want you to get out of their office right now because if you actually shit your pants, it's gonna stink.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this might make me do that too. This is terrible.
What is that?
Kinky grape.
Kinky grape.
It tastes like I don't know, like your kid put like grape nerds in your vodka and you had to drink it. You just like randomly drunk it.
Oh, that's disgusting because grape nerds were the worst flavor.
No. Don't
Let's
get this
see.
then.
Ryan from Cook's Auto World says Kamzat's immune system is weaker than Bill's head movement. Ryan, you've never seen my head movement because I've never needed to move my head sparring you. All right. So I guess the fact that you took the shot means you're on board with this conspiracy theory I've got brewing here.
I'm not only on board, I feel a little silly that I haven't thought of this before. Because
Wow.
you said that, and I'm like, wow. And then I like some of the notes are on my screen here. I'm like, yeah, yep, there you go.
It all adds up, right? You
Yeah,
think,
it all adds up.
and I haven't heard anyone else suggest this either. I've heard some other rumors like, oh, Conor McGregor's in rehab. And that's been a big one. But I haven't heard anybody else talk about the new drug test company. And, we're mysteriously losing a lot of big fights. I'd say more than usual.
Yeah. Yeah, but also I like to go real world. We'll go 6 months without anybody quitting, and we just had 3 guys quit. It's just
True. It could be a coincidence, but I'm documenting this theory here on
yeah.
June
Maybe you
20th,
should say it
2024.
again so we make sure you have a good take of it.
Yeah, June 20th, 2024. My conspiracy theory is that we are losing so many main event fighters and co-main event fighters because of the new drug testing company catching guys for stuff they probably didn't know they could get caught for, or stuff they weren't getting caught for under USADA, and it's all being swept under the rug and being labeled as food poisoning or whatever dumb excuse they want to come up with, because that's how all of us call out sick from work. When you call in work and you say I have food poisoning, there's no follow-up questions. Nobody's like, well, you know, is it coming out both ends? What's going on over there? They don't ask. They might ask like, well, where'd you go eat? Because I don't want to eat there.
Yeah,
And then you just name some random Chinese restaurant and nobody will ever go there again.
I think you nailed it, Bill.
I think I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I think maybe something's gonna come to the surface. Maybe it won't. But either way, and I'm not a huge conspiracy theory guy, but I'm feeling I'm feeling pretty confident about this, because something's funny with all the excuses. A lot of things aren't adding up.
Yeah, because usually when they're out of a fight, they say what happened. I tore my bicep in
Yeah.
training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it was Jamal Hill. That was who was he supposed to fight?
Um. Oh, the guy. I don't know. I forget.
Yeah. So, and we have Connor, who we know he exited the USADA pool so he could take some stuff. Maybe he took some stuff he liked, and he started skirting the test, and then they started changing the test.
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something. And
Interesting
at least
question from
Jamal Hill's a good point because he's like, I can't fight because my knee fucking hurts, and here's a picture of it.
So Mark Fellows has an interesting question. He says, regarding Connor, do they test for drugs in rehab centers? I wouldn't think so. I don't think.
No, when you're in rehab, you're not getting drugs because and everyone would fail a drug test in a rehab center.
Right. And I would think there would have to be some patient privacy laws where they're not going to let some guy from a drug testing company come into the rehab center.
Yeah, and also you can just leave rehab whenever you want because you're paying for it. So,
Yeah,
and
I can't.
I also don't think if Connor was in rehab, he wouldn't be like his rehab would be not at a rehab center. He would hire them to come to him. Like
Yeah,
Conor
probably.
McGregor's not waking up and putting on some slippers and going down to the meeting every morning.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest Part 2.
Yeah.
Conor
That would, but
McGregor.
could you imagine though you're on like a total bender, your family like throws you into rehab and you're sitting there like look up when you come to like in one meeting and there's Conor McGregor sitting beside you. You're like,
Who the
whoa.
fuck is this guy?
Yeah. That would be.
I think we found his next acting role. One Flew Over the
He
Cuckoo's
could pull
Nest
that.
2.
From the look of his pictures, right now would be the time to film it. He seems a little cuckoo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Also, if Conor does not fight in 2024, will you ever see him again?
I don't know.
You know what? On the last episode we said we're going to talk about McGregor, so let's move along.
Yeah. Like I don't care. Like I didn't care when the fight got called off. I know a lot of people were disappointed. I was like, whatever.
Or here's a better question: how long does Michael Chandler wait?
No, he's got to take somebody else. He's going on 2 years now since the Ultimate Fighter ended,
Well,
right?
he said he's waiting. So how long does he wait?
He said he's going to keep waiting for Connor.
Yep. Yeah, he's kind of like a sad puppy. Do you see? He's going to the pay-per-view next week. He's like, I made a promise and I will be there.
Yeah.
Like, well, you don't have to anymore. Like, it's not
He's
your
like the
promise.
dude that's in the friend zone with the hot chick.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh, she's going to leave that guy. He treats her like shit. I would treat her so much better. And she keeps saying she's going to leave him. She's going to do it. I'm not going to date anybody else.
I think it's worse than that. I think she leaves the guy, and then he thinks he's in, and then they finds a new guy. Like,
Yeah. And then she
because that
asks
could happen.
Then she asks him to film them in bed together.
Because Connor has been mentioned a bunch that he wants to fight in the Sphere, and the only way that fight makes sense is if he fights Nate Diaz.
That could be too. And then Chandler just gets the shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's totally missing out. I mean,
But who's he fight? Gamrot?
yeah, right? That's the thing. There's not a lot of winnable fights for
Max
him.
Holloway would be the UFC better toss him like Max Holloway would work.
Max Holloway and Michael Chandler.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Let me ask you this. Out of the top 10, I'm going to read them real quick. Who do you think Michael Chandler can beat? We got Saryukian, Oliveira, Gaethje, Poirier, Gamrot, Chandler 6, Dariush, Fiziev, Holloway, and Moicano. Out of those names, like, who would you bet on Michael Chandler? Like, who would you bet the house on him beating?
But the house, I've had to pick one. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but it's Fiziev.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
But here's the other problem. Michael Chandler's been preparing for a 170-pound fight. Colby Covington makes sense.
That would be a fun fight. Yeah, that would be a really fun fight. I like that. All right. Let's
Well, we're kind of
get
doing
into
our
this
news.
one.
Let's just finish up the news.
Okay.
Because there's one fight I want to talk about that's the co-main event for 303.
Do it.
Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega.
That's fun.
Wait. And Jamal Hill versus Yuri. I kind of like that. Those two, that's better fights.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have the Connor factor, but oh well.
Yeah, but those fights mean more. Right?
Yeah.
Like the Connor fight means nothing. It's not like either one of them wins. It wouldn't mean anything. They're not fighting for a title. Like that's why the Conor McGregor thing, it's just a novelty. It's just like, well, let's see what he looks like coming off of this injury. It's just a curiosity thing. There's no long-term payoff with this, which is why I never cared about it in the first place. But I understand why it's a big draw. I mean, he's still the biggest star in the sport, even though he hasn't won a fight since 2019 or whatever.
Yeah. But that'll take a fight. That'll be spicy.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time picking that one. I like both of those guys a lot.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely watch those guys go. I didn't realize that Diego was like the coach for a team.
Yeah, doesn't he have a gym or something?
Yeah, like he's the head of that team. I think there's some good fighters on there.
Interesting, and he's young.
Mm-hmm.
All right, UFC on ABC 6.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the first fight on the main card? Because you said it got jumbled up a little bit here.
Yeah. First off, the start time Eastern is noon for the prelims, 3 for the main card. It's on ABC. And the first fight on the main card is a Johnny Walker fight.
All right. So Johnny Walker, Volkan Ozdemir. I think Johnny Walker would be a slight favorite here. Ozdemir's been hot and cold. Johnny Walker is coming off of the knockout loss to Ankalaev. But before that, he had a pretty nice winning streak. He beat Kutalaba, Paul Craig, and Anthony Smith. I would think this one would be close to even money, but I would think Walker's probably a slight favorite. What are the odds here?
It's minus 110 across the board.
Okay, so it's even money.
Yep.
All right. So
yeah.
All
So
right,
my
all
guts
right.
tell me that Walker's going to get the TKO here. I just think he's more athletic. I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of guys going for the finish on this card. It's the first card in Saudi Arabia, and there's a lot of money there, and there might be some cool bonus prizes floating around here. And I just think Johnny Walker's very athletic, and he's just going to get it.
The thing with Johnny Walker is he scores knockouts off of kind of bizarre exchanges, let's say. Like something unusual usually happens for him to set up a knockout. And Ozdemir fights very tight. He doesn't leave a lot of openings. I mean, he's been knocked out before, but generally he's like a pretty straightforward game plan guy, and he sticks to it in there. But if you told me this fight, if you had like a crystal ball and you told me this fight ends in a finish, I would probably go with Johnny Walker as well.
That also takes the odds from minus 110 to plus 215.
All right, so you get a little underdog play there.
Yep.
All right, I like that pick. What's the next fight? Because
it's the Pirate.
All right, here's my guy, Sharabutin Magomedov, the one-eyed bandit against Antonio Tricoli. I imagine Sharabullet's the favorite here.
Yeah, big time. He is minus 650 on the opposite, plus 470.
Don't you dare tell me you're going with the underdog.
No, I'm not. I'm not even betting on this fight.
Okay, I won't stand for anyone picking against Sharabutin on this podcast.
I'm gonna pick a fight off the prelims to bet on.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, Magomedov is just such an interesting dude to me. I've been interested in him before I even knew he was blind in one eye. He's just like, I don't know. He's just a scary looking ginger Russian or whatever he is. Where's he from?
Yeah, I think he's from Russia. I mean,
Yeah, Moscow.
yeah. I mean, I enjoy. I remember rooting against him. He fought. Who did he fight? Who was a fight that I would have been rooting against him pretty hard?
Bruno Silva.
No.
That's the only That's the only fight he's had in the UFC.
Maybe I picked against him. I was rooting against him, but yeah, there's something special here, and hopefully he doesn't fall victim like Hamzat does. But
Yeah, he does have that kind of aura about him. So hopefully he doesn't come down with food poisoning. All right.
Kevin
So
Gastelum.
you said the Naimov and Lima fight is off the main card now, right?
Yeah, it's not on there. I think it was just a typo on SureDog.
Yeah, because it would make more sense for Sharabullet to be on the main card. All right, so then we got Kelvin Gastelum and Daniel Rodriguez.
Yep.
And this is a welterweight fight.
No.
Yes, it
Nope.
is.
I'll play you a clip.
I tried to get it to a catch weight, but I mean, he must be having such a bad fight camp that he can't even make 180. You know, I'm currently 179 pounds, you know, so I have to put weight back on. It's been 13 weeks since I found out about this fight. I'm sure he has too. So the fact that he's saying that he's having a bad fight camp, it makes no sense, you know. And I feel like it's lack of discipline. I don't know if it's he's having a bad fight camp or just being lazy and doesn't want.
The fight's been switched to 185.
Is that Rodriguez talking?
That's Danny Rodriguez, yeah. Sorry, I should have prefaced that.
Yeah, at first I
Yeah.
thought it was Gaston.
Yeah, so Gastelum came in at the media day and said that he was having a bad weight cut, and then he was going to try and get it to go up. And then D-Rod came out and said, well, no, his management has already reached out. I wanted 180. He couldn't even make that, so he's going 185. And
Damn.
yeah.
And Gaslam, you know, historically had trouble making 170. He made it in his last fight against Sean Brady.
Hey, we might be on to some, add your hot take in there. There might be something there too.
Well, he hasn't pulled out of the fight.
No, but there's got to be substances that would help with the weight cut.
He's going to test positive for Ozempic.
I don't think that's fast enough.
Let's see. Gastelum last fought at welterweight, aside from the loss to Sean Brady, last fought at welterweight in 2016 against Johnny Hendricks. Beat him. And then he moved up and fought Tim Kennedy. Look at this run Kelvin Gastelum fought. He fought Tim Kennedy, Vitor Belfort, Chris Weidman, Michael Bisping, Jacare, Adesanya.
And how old is he?
Huh?
And how old is he?
32.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to pick this fight now. You know, before when I was assuming that Gastelum would be on weight, I was going to take him.
Mm-hmm.
And D-Rod seems locked in, but he, you know, has Gastelum been running his whole fight camp and just raw dogged it over to Saudi Arabia, expecting to make it to 185 instead? You know.
Yeah, and just assuming he was going to get what he wanted. That's a pretty big gamble. I mean, he probably knows there was something.
I mean, he would have to, when he got on the plane in Saudi Arabia, if he's 15 pounds off, he had to have known he wasn't going to make it.
Sure. Interesting. Well, maybe he knew and he just wasn't going to say anything because he knew, like, just let Rodriguez keep cutting. And then he knew he wouldn't say no because something happened with Daniel Rodriguez where he was let go briefly. I don't know what it was about. And now he's back. There was something that happened there after his last fight.
You know what? I'm going to
He
change
got
my
knocked
bet.
out by Ian Gary. And that was over a year ago. And I think something happened where they let him go and brought him right back. And I know this because when I heard that he was removed from the UFC roster, I was calling for him to go over to bare knuckle and fight our buddy Dave Mundell. But now he's back. So
he's back with all new teeth.
So Gastelum must know, like, this guy hasn't fought in over a year, probably needs a payday here. So he can't say no to the weight increase. So I don't know, maybe it's a smart play. And it sounds like Daniel Rodriguez is a little unsure of himself. He's like, I only weigh 179 and he wants it at 185.
Yeah.
So, maybe the psychology plays a little bit of a factor.
Man, I would think in that situation, you'd almost want to, like, all right, before I continue, I want to see him step on a scale right now.
Yeah.
Like, right now. Because, can he not cut weight? Is the weight cut not an option? So he's almost at 185, or does he weigh 205 pounds?
But to which Gastelum would say, no, it's 185 or we don't fight. And I'm not showing you anything.
I don't know. D-Rod did say that he's always respect Gastelum, but this has made him lost a little respect, and I think I agree, and I do too. And I don't know if I think I just won't bet on this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really respected Gastelum's discipline when it comes to making weight. I mean, he possibly could have been a champion at 170 at one point in his career if he had the discipline.
Yeah, I think at the Adesanya, when he was fighting Adesanya, he could have been. Who would that been at that time?
Yeah. That's still one of the
Ben
greatest
Usman.
fights I've ever seen, and he's undersized for that division.
Yeah, he could have been fighting Usman at that time.
Yeah. And that probably would have been a great fight too. All right, so you're abstaining from this one?
Or do we put some money on D-Rod?
What are the odds? Did we say that yet?
Minus 245 plus 200, but let me check because this might have
Wait,
changed.
minus 245 for who?
No, plus 200 for D-Rod, minus 245 for Gastelum. But this might have changed. Yeah, it's plus 185 for D-Rod, minus 225 for Gastelum. So it slid a little bit. Just got a little tighter.
So he's still a favorite.
Yeah, it just got tighter.
I mean,
I'm going to abstain.
If you look at Gastelum, like, his losses either come from guys who catch him in a submission or guys who are just technically better, and Rodriguez is not a guy who's going to submit him, and he's not a guy who's technically better. So he doesn't really fall into either of those categories as far as following the blueprint.
Yeah, let's just move on. Ooh.
Excuse me. Just choking on my lozenge here.
What flavor is it?
It's just like honey.
Oh. All right, we got a banger next.
Yeah, I like this one. Sergey Pavlovich and Alexander Volkov. These are like, it looks like the same guy in two different funhouse mirrors. Like one of them's like stretched out and lanky, and the other one just looks jacked. Like it's the funhouse mirror you take an extra second to stand in front of. Is Sergey Pavlovich.
And just like their appearance is a little different, their style is kind of close, but just a little different. Where Pavlovich just wants to hit you with one shot on the chin, and Volkov's is like, I'm just gonna hit you 150 fucking times.
Yeah.
It's minus 225 Pavlovich, plus 195 Volkov.
I mean, we've seen. So my immediate reaction would be to favor Pavlovich because of the power. But if you look at Volkov's resume, I mean, he's been in there with so many guys with one-punch knockout power. Tuivasa, Rosenstrike, beat both of them. He's been in there with Cyril Gahn, didn't get knocked out. Alistair Overeem, Fabricio Verdum, Derek Lewis, and did well against Derek Lewis until the last 11 seconds of the fight. He's been in there with guys who can hit this hard, and he's survived. But man, he's 35 now. And Pavlovich is just such a monster. I don't know. All right, so who are you picking?
I'm taking Volkov.
Okay. I mean, he's got more experience. He does have some submissions. We know Pavlovich can be susceptible to the grappling. He's admitted as much. You know, he said he's pretty much got manhandled when he first came to AKA. But his only losses are by knockout. He's never been submitted.
You know, there is one stat that's going hard against me, and none of his 8 UFC fights have made it out of the first round. And I'm looking at it,
Yeah.
over under. It's the over is at 1.5 at plus 135.
Yeah, the last person to take him out of the first round was Mikhail Makhnatkin. That was back in June 2017.
But
so 7 years ago since this guy's seen a second round.
plus 195 on Volkov, that's not a bad price. So I'm going to take that.
Sure.
And I'm going to
Your dollar.
This is a lot of. I'm actually not placing one bet on an underdog, or a favorite. So that's crazy. Maybe I should just parlay all these dollars up and see what happens. We could maybe I don't need to worry about. Maybe I wouldn't need to worry about the hacking.
Let's see how it works out for him, Cotton.
Yeah. Main event.
All right. So we already talked about the fact that Chimaev pulled out. So Ikram Aliskerov comes off the bench. It takes balls to get in there against Robert Whittaker in a main event. But I guess if you get that phone call, you got to answer it. Hey, here's my question before we talk about this. How many guys you think said no before they got to Aliskerov? Because it's not like he's got the name value that you can put in there across from Robert Whittaker, who's such a huge star.
Well, I wonder, for us maybe, but I don't know at the people in attendance. If you're a fight fan over there, you might know who Ikram is. One. And I know one guy that did not say no because he did not get the opportunity was Mr. Bo Nickel.
Well, supposedly he was like out in the woods with his phone off.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He didn't have the opportunity to say yes. He says he would. I personally think it's probably good for him that he didn't say yes.
So,
but if you're out hunting elk in the mountains, you're in shape. So who the hell knows?
Yeah, like just keep your phone with you. Have like a CB radio or something so somebody can get a hold of you.
I mean, I might be way off here, but I'm going to take Ikram by knockout.
I don't think that happens.
I don't know. Maybe not, but that's what I'm taking.
I mean,
and
look,
as a Robert Whittaker can be knocked out, right?
Sure, he can be, but he's not going to be.
Hey, Bill, you know my rule. Look at his name. Mark, kiss my ass. Or Mark Fellows, kiss my ass. Yeah.
I mean, Mark says you're officially banned from this show.
Hey, man, I thought I wasn't supposed to pick with your guy because if I did, he'd lose.
Yeah, Mark, would you rather Matt bet on him?
Isn't this the best pick I could make for you?
He's trying to do you a favor here. Look, Aliskerov has got knockout power. He hasn't fought anyone in remotely the same ballpark as Robert Whittaker.
Well, he has fought the guy that pulled out of the fight.
Yeah, he got knocked out in 2 minutes.
Have you watched the fight?
No.
You should watch that fight.
All right, so he's riding a 7-fight win streak. His biggest win is probably over Phil Hawes. And he beat Warley Alves in his last fight. That was way back in October. I mean, I'm going with Whittaker here. I think he absolutely dismantles this guy.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he's fought anyone the caliber of a Robert Whittaker.
I think this is the biggest disagreement we've had, right?
I think, well, who has he fought that's the caliber of Robert Whittaker?
I admit this is a crazy pick, but it's what I'm going with. And
All right. Now, back to my question, because Aliskerov is not ranked, so I don't know where he stands in the rankings. There are so many guys that could have gotten a call. Like, you're telling me they didn't call Michel Pereira to come in there and fight Robert Whittaker? What a fun fight that would be. You're telling me they didn't call Sean Strickland?
I mean, I'm sure they called a lot of guys, but maybe it being in Saudi Arabia might put that might add a little bit to it.
Marvin Vittori, what's he doing? Brendan Allen?
Like
Jack
I said, this is
Hermanson?
in that area of the world that seems to be where a lot of the guys that end in V fight. So I don't know. Maybe he was there, easy.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, it could have
Whittaker
been.
pissed him off, and this is some guy that I don't know, Bill. This guy's scary to me.
Right, but I'm just thinking, like, how did they end up on him? Is it just they needed a local guy? Because I would think they would go for the name value first. Like,
Well, right, but you're thinking of name value here. I think they might be thinking about name value there.
yeah, but it's on ABC. Wouldn't you be more concerned with name value for your larger market?
I don't. How many people have cable, or not even cable? How many people have ABC in their house anymore?
That's true. I don't have cable anymore.
Yeah, how are you gonna watch this fight?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to get, like, I don't know. Is it on YouTube TV or something?
I think you might be able to get it's ABC. I mean, you get one of those $10 antennas on Amazon. Isn't ABC like a free channel?
Yeah. Don't they have like a app or something?
I'm not sure.
Everything's gotten so convoluted with these streaming services. We don't even know how to watch ABC now.
And ABC was like, as a kid, was like I'd have to turn the antenna to the northwest, and you'd get ABC easy. But now it's like, shit, ABC. Yeah. So I have $2 left, and there is another fight. Well, there might be a couple fights you want to talk about, but one of them I'm going to put $2 on, and that is Mr. Nick Dalby.
Against
I don't even know who he's fighting. Yep.
What are the odds? Fakhrdinov's got to be a favorite.
Oh, he's a big favorite. I'm taking Nick Dalby at plus 295, and I'll be putting both the $2 on that guy. And if you remember, that was his last fight we made a lot of money on, so we're going to keep riding that.
Yeah, he had that big upset over Gabriel Bonfim. And that was in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the hometown spoiler, 4-fight win streak. All right, Nick Dalby it is. I'm not mad at that. That was one of the fights that caught my attention. The other one was Kelvin Gastelum Jr., Nasrat Haqparast on this card against Jared Gordon. That's a fun fight.
Oh, shit. He's fighting the guy that ends in V. Nick Dalby is. Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, that goes against your thing.
Yeah, but he just lost the decision. He got a guillotine.
There's a lot of guys ending in V on this card.
No, he's the guy that beat Kevin Lee the last time. Guillotine early. Remember that?
Fakhrdinov?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bad motherfucker, man.
Oh, well. Nick Dalby. I'll be rooting for you. Probably like 1 o'clock.
Here's another V for you. Magomed Gadzhiasulov
feel bad for
I think
Brendan.
I think my first stab at that one was pretty close.
It was pretty good. But you pull up the audio file, it'd be very close.
Yeah.
Or
Except
it'll
he
be
would
totally
say,
off. Did you see that? I have to send you the video, but they phonetically printed off people's names for graduation, and the ladies just like pronouncing people's names like very simple, like Bill Welker, and it's Bill Wakalana. It's pretty funny.
I gotta tell you, people get my name wrong all the time. Just last week, I ordered takeout from a restaurant right here in Oldsmar, and I did it over the phone. And my brother-in-law went in to pick it up at the restaurant. He was like, "Yeah, the name's Bill." And they're like, "We don't have anything under the name Bill." And they said, "Well, here's this one. Is this your order?" But the name is Dill with a D. I'm like, whose name is Dill?
I have the same problem, but mine's Max. I get Max.
Like, what's
Did this
what's
happen to be
going-
a certain pizza restaurant?
No, it was Craft Street Kitchen.
I love that place too. They got really awesome was it buffalo cauliflower or something like that?
Their burgers are awesome. I usually get like the specialty burger of the month. It's usually something interesting. Shout out to Craft Street Kitchen, even though you can't get my fucking name right.
I'm purist on my burgers. Mustard and cheese. Mustard, mayo, and cheese.
That's not a purist. That's a bastardization of the hamburger.
And then depending, you can put some bacon or some hot sauce on there, but no ketchup goes on a cheeseburger. The ketchup goes on the plate for the French fries.
Yeah, but mustard doesn't go on a hamburger either.
Mustard goes on anything. If it's possible, put mustard on it. It needs mustard.
You're saying mustard and mayonnaise?
Yes, mustard, mayo, and cheese. Pickle.
Oh. I don't do
Miracle Whip if you have it. For a burger, I prefer Miracle Whip.
Miracle Whip?
Yeah, I know.
Is that even real food? That's not even real food.
No, I think it's like plastic and...
Yeah, it's fucking melted plastic and canola oil.
Yeah, but man, put it on a cheeseburger, nothing better.
What kind of cheese you going with this abomination?
That depends on the meat, but most of the time, it's the only time I use this cheese, but it's the Kraft American single cheese.
Man, this is like something like a 6-year-old would make as a joke.
Bill, I tell you what, I'll make you one day, and I will change your mind.
Well,
you will be taking a shot.
This would have to be like, I would have to lose a bet to eat that.
Bill, trust me. You know, it's weird. My burger is weird because I put that bullshit on there, but I also ground my beef on my. You know, it's like my burgers are like ground ribeye or ground fillet that I did myself. So it's.
You're like, here's a nice high quality meat that I'm just gonna.
Here's a filet mignon ground burger or an elk burger or something like that with Kraft cheese and Miracle Whip. And would you like Grey Poupon or regular mustard?
My God, what happened in your childhood that led to this?
Oh, and they're about this thin and crispy.
Oh, so they're smash burger style.
Oh yeah, smash burger all the way.
So you might like. There was this food truck at the Troubled Waters Brewery. You ever go over there?
No.
Oh, you should check it out. Next time you're thinking about going to Crooked Thumb, go check out Troubled Waters instead. So they're right here on Main Street, and they had this food truck. All they had was smash burgers, and they were excellent. Very basic, just burger cheese.
The place right across the train tracks. Oh, right.
Troubled Waters?
Yeah.
It's right next to the firehouse.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Nice
I'm sure I can find
really
it.
good
Saved
beer.
Harbor's not that big.
And that's part of the reason I'm not even drinking tonight. I needed a little break because while the sister's family was here, I was hitting a little too hard. I I was actually back to drinking beer. Now I got to get some of the bloat off.
I don't know why beer does that to you. I'm a lean, mean fighting machine, and I'll drink a beer.
Yeah, but the problem is I can't have a beer.
Yeah, me either. But I don't know. Beer doesn't do that to me.
Yeah, I don't know. While they were here, we were eating out a lot too. So I just
That's
need
what does it to me. That and toast and mashed potatoes.
toast. We were just watching. We were watching Nacho Libre with Jack Black.
Yeah,
Have you ever seen that?
it's been a while.
He says he falls in love with the nun that comes to his monastery or whatever, and he says, "Would you like to come back to my quarters for some toast?"
Hey, lure me. I love toast.
And they're just sitting there eating toast, looking at each other. And my daughter was like, "Why are they eating toast?" I'm like, "I don't know. That's what they like."
It's one of the most simple foods in there is.
My daughter's a full-blown Jack Black fanatic. So we're doing School of Rock and Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
If
As you were
anybody else,
saying last time, there's not many movies of his that she can watch yet. Though.
yeah, I think maybe Jumanji we'll do next. The
Yeah, that would
Jumanji
work.
remake.
I could see where kids would like him. He's just like kind of the
Oh yeah,
He's almost like a human cartoon.
yeah. My daughter loves like slapstick stuff.
Yeah.
Like she's all about it. Like she loves Home Alone for that reason.
Maybe you should. Maybe she's not old enough, but like some of the older '80s, early '90s, like what's that? Steve Martin.
Yeah, yeah. Those I'd have to rewatch them first, and
Yeah,
I remember what's in them.
but not really, because you turned out all right, and they were out about the time you were, the age she was.
That's true. Yeah, I was watching Steve Martin from a young age.
Maybe you just need to look at the movies released at she's that age, figure out what year that is to you, and that's what movies she can watch.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little different. My dad had me watching like Hellraiser when I was her age.
Oh, me too. I think it's important.
Yeah, yeah.
But for anybody that's interested, there are two other major promotions this weekend. Friday at 3 p.m., Salt Lake City, PFL main event, Clay Collard versus Burnell.
Yeah.
And then a fight I will be watching from France Saturday earlier than the UFC, Patchy Mix versus Magomedov.
I thought that was in Ireland.
I might have messed that up. Anyway, I know the time's right.
That is a good fight though.
Yeah, that's a good fight. I'm gonna watch
So that's
that one.
earlier in the day than UFC, and UFC starts at noon.
Let me check again.
Interesting that it's a midday card.
Well, it's Paris.
Oh, all right.
But yeah, that's a good one. And then that Patrick Dembé, I know this card's already happened.
Cedric Doumbé.
Never mind. You're right. And it's Jackson versus Kerr Meg
In Ireland.
That. Yep. Man,
Yeah, I didn't think Patchy Mix was fighting this weekend.
I got really freaking excited when I was like, oh, I heard there's Bellator card. I'm gonna look it up. Now I feel like an idiot because I already watched that fight.
Yeah, I was having a little bit of deja vu. I don't know what's going on Instagram, but my phone's been going off constantly while we've been doing this. Like, I wish all these people would be listening to the podcast instead of looking at my Instagram, but here we are. I found my 15 minutes of fame, and it wasn't for my face on YouTube. It was for just my voice talking about a girl getting punched in the tit.
Yeah, I can't believe that's still rolling. So there's another new fight that we haven't talked about, and that's the Mike Perry versus Jake Paul, July 20, Amalie Arena, 8 rounds, 10-ounce gloves.
Are you gonna go?
I mean, I'm gonna go. I want to go. I'd love to ask Mr. Perry a question, but who knows if that could happen.
Yeah, well, I can try and get you a press credential. I'm gonna be out of town, so I might have to send you in as my proxy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how that works, but if we could get 2. But I'm gonna buy tickets start at $20, so I'll be in the building. We don't have anything going on. Paul's
Nice.
opening up at a minus 240 versus Perry plus 190.
We gotta get you in that press conference. Matt the Mechanic from MMA on the Rocks. Mike, why won't you fight Dave Mondell?
Oh, I was thinking about that, and I was also I almost think you should ask that question through Jake Paul, because they're going to be going back and forth about how he's this bare knuckle boxer and the best bare knuckle boxer, and I want to ask Jake Paul how he feels about boxing the second best.
Oh, I like that. I don't think he's even the second best.
Well, no, but for the purpose of the question and
Yeah,
for my
that's good.
intention, that's a
That's
good
good.
question.
That's worded very Chael-Sonnenly. I like that.
Huh. Let's see if we can make something happen. And like I said, the tickets are only $20, so it won't be that hard. I don't think there'll be many people there.
You can't go
That's
wrong.
a big ass place.
What are you sipping on over there?
Buffalo Trace.
Oh, solid. Did you pick up any of that old tub?
No, I don't know. I have a problem with that name.
Why?
I don't know. I was going to pick it up, and I was like, man, I don't want this. I think it's pretty strong too, right?
I mean, it's 100 proof. It's same as E.H. Taylor and Heaven Hill.
I think the day when I went there, I was like, I'm looking for like a mixer, and I was like, I don't think this is a good mixer.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah, just
It's Jim Beam puts it out.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's solid. For $10, can't go wrong.
$10 is pretty good. Well, I'm glad that we got back in the rhythm. Having last week off was nice. That card was not very good.
Oh yeah, we don't even need to talk about it. The main event was bizarre. Well,
Yeah,
I don't even remember the guy's name.
But
he jumped
Japanese
on his back
guy versus somebody.
Yeah. Japanese cat jumps on his back and the guy's knee just buckles. Fight over.
Yeah, it was weird.
There was something interesting that happened on that card, but I forgot what it was, so we don't need to get into it.
Hey, we're right at an hour.
Yeah, we took the right week off. And now I just got to get the rest of my life in order. I'm just like so off of my routine. I will be traveling to Atlanta next month. So if anybody has any recommendations where I can hunt down some good whiskey in that area, I appreciate it. I'll be there for about a week and a half on business. I don't know how the podcast is going to work during that time, so we'll have to figure something out. I'm going to be in an Airbnb. I'll have to test out how good the internet is, et cetera, et cetera. So that's that. Matt, you got anything else you want to get off your chest?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. If you guys want to get some MMA on the Rocks t-shirts on your chests, you can do so at Team Reaper. Reaper1.co is the website. I will link directly to all the products in the show notes. If you're watching live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, the links are already there, so you can click directly to them. You can use the promo code MMA Rocks 10. Grab yourself an over-the-top, under the influence t-shirt, tank top, or hoodie. Hoodie sales at an all-time low right now because it's 1,000 degrees here in Florida. So I don't expect to be selling many of those unless you're planning ahead or unless you live somewhere where it's winter right now, somewhere in the world. All right, that's all we got. So until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.